G'day folks, this is looking at Tropical Cyclone Trevor, which is approaching the Cape York Peninsula, and there is the rough outline of the coastline of the Cape York Peninsula. The storm is currently officially a Category 2 Australian, which is a tropical storm in hurricane standards, but it's intensifying. It has very vigorous convection, and you'll see a few white spots in the center, and those are minus 90 Celsius in the infrared. That means it's blowing up some seriously big convection and thunderstorms. And I don't know whether there's enough room for it to pop an eye, but I don't know. We'll see. But it is likely to be hurricane strength Category 1 or so at landfall, the Cape York Peninsula, and it is crossing the Cape York Peninsula. As the storm crosses the Cape York Peninsula, it will certainly weaken as it interacts with the land, but what is waiting on the other side is something significant, warmer than normal waters actually, and these are up to and over 30 degrees Celsius. These are supportive of major hurricanes, and we can look at the MPI. This is the MPI, maximum potential intensity. This is an estimate for how strong in perfect atmospheric conditions could a hurricane potentially get. And we got to look at this region, the Gulf of Carpentaria, and essentially it is dark blue in both the potential for maximum wind and the potential for minimum sea level pressure. This isn't really surprising since the temperatures of the sea are, this is 31 Celsius. So that means Category 5, strong Category 5 hurricanes could potentially be supported in that environment. However, there's a lot of land around. There is potential for significant land interaction depending on what track this storm actually takes through the Gulf of Carpentaria. So let's have a look at what kind of track it might take. So here is the JTWC forecast official, and doesn't it look a little bit different from yesterday? Yesterday there was just a box, and now we have this lovely track. So the filled circle hurricane symbol, that's indicating hurricane strength at landfall. Landfall, they're saying reaching 70 knots. So Category 1 hurricane weakens over the peninsula, then reaches those super hot waters and re-intensifies. And they backed off slightly, but they have it at 95 knots. In the discussion by the JTWC, they express explicitly that there is a lot of uncertainty with the system because of all of this land interaction. And uncertainties in where it will actually track. And to give you an idea of the degree of the uncertainty in terms of where this will track, here are some of the model forecasts, and you can see they are making a big swath of different potential landfalls. So I'm going to look at a few of these models, and depending on which track this takes, that will determine how long this storm remains over those warm waters, and that will allow it greater or lesser time to intensify. So I'm going to look at some of the models very quickly, most of the other ones, but let's look at the hurricane wharf because it is quite dramatic, and I'm drawing on the coastline, and in this plot the storm will move, the domain actually moves. So what you're seeing, if you watch the coastline very carefully, is that as it moves, the coastline will move because it's following the center of the storm. So this is the H wharf. It has it at 949 millibars at landfall, and then you'll see the pressure rising in the center as it crosses the Cape York Peninsula, which is outlined here. Oops. And then it weakens, and then weakens, 982, 984. Eventually the storm emerges into the Gulf of Carpentaria. This is the coastline, and then you'll start to see the pressure dropping once again, 957, 949, 940, 921, 917, 940, and then it makes landfall, and there is the coast of the Gulf of Carpentaria at that point. So actually the H-Wharf has it making landfall at the moment at a pressure of 914 millibars. That is very low pressure. This is a major hurricane strength landfall that is being predicted by the H-Wharf. I would say that's category 4 or 5. Let's have a look at the winds. So here are the winds for the Hurricane Wharf, and actually if you look very carefully you'll see that there are 2 triangles on some of these wind bobs. That means 2 triangles is, each triangle is 50 knots, so 2 triangles is 100 knots. Some of these are up to 100 and 120, looks like 130 knots. So yeah, okay, I think we should move on to some other models, because this one's obviously going completely nuts with this storm, because it has a category 5 landfall. Let's look at some other ones. Well, that was a bit scary. Maybe we can calm things down a little bit with the European Centre model, which tends to be a little less vigorous. The H-Wharf is initialized by the GFS, and the GFS is known for its heavy intensification. So landfall crosses the peninsula. This is a storm up here, and then emerges. Gulf of Carpentaria, intensifies rapidly, 936 millibars. Landfall 946 millibars. Actually, in a similar location too. So that also looks like a major hurricane landfall. Not quite as bad as the H-Wharf, but perhaps category 3. So that's the ECMWF. And this is the GFS, unsurprisingly similar to the H-Wharf, 918, probably Cat 4 or 5. I know where we can see a more chilled out solution, from the Bureau of Meteorology's excess model. There is the storm emerging into the Gulf of Carpentaria, and it is a measly 999 millibars, 1000 millibars. It's absolutely nothing, but it does intensify even in this scenario, and it also hits, well, it's not taking the same track. However, I just don't believe this model, frankly. So you know, who knows, but no, I think that this is not resolving this storm well enough. That's my opinion, and that's that. Here's a view from NASA's polar orbiting Suomi MPP-VERS satellite. Kind of beautiful, isn't it? But there is Trevor heading into the Gulf of Carpentaria, and there's also this system over here, and I'll just show what that one's up to. Here is our 10-day GFS forecast, and there is this is Australia, and the little disturbance which is over here is actually almost heading into Australia, but it looks like it's not becoming incredibly strong in this simulation, at least. There is Trevor, and there is taking that track through the Gulf of Carpentaria. So there you have it, interesting situation around Australia. This is the latest satellite loop, and there is that disturbance, and then Trevor over here. So overall, I'm going to say it's going to go somewhere over here, and based on the ECMWF and GFS, it looks like it's going to intensify, and the JTWC. I mean, it's going to intensify in the Gulf of Carpentaria over those super warm waters. How much it will intensify, don't know. I'm going to guess category 3 or 4, but there is the potential for it to be stronger or weaker than that. So on that note, hopefully we'll do another update, perhaps when this thing moves in, gets across the peninsula into those hot waters. I'm going to do another video then. So I hope to see you there. Please leave a comment, please subscribe, please like, please do something.